Men's mental health. We always see it on Facebook, Instagram, but what is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? If you're going through it, how do you get through it? Or to answer these questions, I have my friends Senior Master Sergeant Webster from the Air Force, Brandon, and Jared, all here to tell you their real life experiences. All you have to do is listen.
To me, mental health means maintaining a balanced state of mind, and in a sense that just it's just how you are, disregarding other emotions that are coming through, disregarding like sadness, happy feelings, or anger, or anything like that, but it's like where you are at the end of the day and where you stand. And I feel like, yeah, just maintaining balance in that aspect is a clear definition of mental health.
Mental health could be different for other people. Like, when you say mental health, like, someone could say, like, oh, yeah, no, I exercise to keep my mental health in check. Or some people meditate. Religion is a good thing for mental health. For some people, like, religion isn't the answer for some people.
Mental health, to me, it's not just one thing. Mental health encapsulates a lot, whether that's stress, whether it's dealing with problems out of your control, marital, financial, anything on a personal level, PTSD, substance abuse. It's a wide range of emergent leadership issues that an airman, total force, deals with on a day-to-day basis.
Being brought up and like who I am, my personality type, things like that. I was a little bit bullied in school growing up, and then I moved schools a lot often too. And so with that and a few other factors that contributed to the madness was I just felt really left out. I felt really excluded and just like an outsider, like an outcast in regards to like social life, to high school, and just those areas. And then with that left me being a really lonely but also like an angry person. And then all that sorrow, loneliness, anger, for me, I turned it back towards myself. And that's where most of my mental health struggles came from, was just that self-criticism.
I grew up in a really small town. It was, very religious family. We didn't really talk about mental health much because I'm also like, Spanish Mexican, so my culture doesn't really acknowledge mental health. So they like, even to this day, my family's like, oh, you just gotta pray. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really.
I'm an Army brat, moved around a lot all the way up until middle school. Had a tough childhood growing up, parents divorced. My father had a whole bunch of substance issues, and that was definitely difficult, but a good learning experience for me, not to make the same mistakes from the past.
Off the bat, it just affected my sleep a lot. You spend your days kind of going through just not enjoying the day. I didn't know how to describe my emotions. Shoot, I didn't even know what I was going through in my own mind, And you're just trying to figure out a way to get out of the slums. Essentially, it's like when you hit rock bottom. Like everything kind of drew back to me because I felt that I was a screw up, or I was messing up in one way or another.
I dealt with a lot of trauma. I was sexually assaulted. And there was a whole ordeal that I dealt with when I was active duty. I went through the whole court-martial process. I proved that I was innocent the whole time, which actually it worked out in my favor until it didn't. Yeah. And after that is when I kind of fell apart, I guess. And that's when I actually was checked into the psych ward.
Two different situations. So one within the department. So that emotion was regret. Because not only do you have to think about yourself, you got to think about everybody else, and making sure that we lead through that difficult time. So that was the first emotion. And not only that too, throughout my career, outside of the department level, as a senior enlisted leader, I've also dealt with some mental health issues with stress and low scale anxiety too. Just, I don't know if it's because of COVID or other situations where you're grinding and you're working hard, but on a personal level too, just also regret too, as I kind of look back from a bird's eye view, on things that I could have done better to take care of my family and myself too as well, because we got to think about that as a senior enlisted leader, that not only do you have to care about other firefighters or other airmen, total force, but yourself too as well. And I had some issues where I had some marital issues where I put too much focusing on the work and on the family, and that's my biggest regret too, that I work towards is having a good work-life balance and spending a lot of time with the family and communicating and venting to kind of help me mentally overcome those challenges, so I'm not dwelling on things that I can't control.
For me, early in high school, realizing, okay, like kind of getting an idea of what your situation was, I feel like I didn't know how to describe my feelings. I didn't know how to essentially just put into words what I was going through, what I was experiencing. And so over the years, and just holding on, just hanging in there, right, I feel that I learned that whenever I hit rock bottom, that to me my God is my rock. And so that's who I fell on when times got tough, or when I actually went through just hard things in life.
Okay.
So with that foundation, I feel like I could always get back up from the things I was going to. I always had that hope to kind of keep driving forward. And then reaching out to like other groups, to the resources I had, and actually being able to help me put into words what I was feeling. That was the most important aspect, other than my God, right? That was a huge aspect for me, just because now that I can describe what I'm going through, I can start trying to figure it out. I can start trying to, like, okay, well, you keep yourself in repeating a cycle in life, you're always going to get the same results. And if you want to change an aspect about this cycle you're going through, you got to change an outlook that you have. You got to start looking at what you're going through, what you're experiencing, and start tweaking, start tuning up your mental engine and all that.
I never actually really did anything for the longest time up until I joined the military, and when I started seeking help from a chaplain, that's when it started, and then I went to mental health actually.
I reached out to some different organizations with mental health, and also psychologists, psychiatrists within the military, to be able to kind of communicate and get things off my chest. And that was a good mechanism for me mentally to kind of overcome anxiety that I deal with on a lower level, and just being task saturated.
I went into the emergency room and I told them I was feeling suicidal. So they had me on suicide watch the whole time. When they realized I was active duty, they had me transported from that emergency room of the hospital to Fort Carson.
Okay.
And I was in that psych ward at Fort Carson, the Fort Carson psych ward, for about a week and a half. It was kind of rough. I feel like they had me on a lot of drugs, and I felt like a zombie, to be honest. It was kind of a bad experience, honestly. Yeah. Like, it's the best way I could describe it is it's just like the movies, like the bed, everything was bolted down because they're worried about everybody's well-being. Like, if you're gonna do something crazy, I guess, like, not crazy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like suicide or something.
Yeah, hurt yourself, kind of thing. Like, even the mirrors in the bathroom were all plastic because they just didn't know. It was kind of rough, just not being able to talk to people on the outside unless they called or came by to visit. It was just, and that whole week and a half I didn't go outside at all, so I felt trapped.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like the psych wards make a person go a little bit more crazy than what they might already be.
Each individual is going to be different on what they feel comfortable with. Me personally, counseling is kind of difficult, just depending on the circumstances or what I would be going through, in my personal opinion. So it depends. I think it's just different for everybody on their comfort level, or what they've been through, or what they're going through, on what services they want to seek out.
For me, what I really wanted was to see people making an effort, which people did, but for most of the times, like, my days were just really bleak. I didn't really appreciate much, and I felt like I personally had a dark cloud over my head the entire time. It was such like you're getting being tossed in your churn with your own self, because like in one hand you want people to see what you're going through and actually talk to you and comfort you and check in on you, and then in the other hand you're pushing people away too, because you're so mad at the world, you're so pissed off at everything and at yourself that you don't want to be around anybody.
Yeah.
And so it's just that little tug and war. It doesn't create a stable sense of peace in your mind.
A lot of the times it's silent. I mean, you could see some behavioral changes after the fact as you reflect, but as you're going through the day-to-day, it's not something that really kind of jumps up at you.
A month and a half ago, I actually had a really bad breakdown.
Yeah.
And I realized that I do really need more additional help, because things are getting a little crazy. The military taught me one thing. There's people that can relate, I guess. Like, whether it's not, I don't know, like, they didn't go through what you personally went through, but something similar, and you can kind of build on that.
Yeah.
And it did teach me, like, people you work with or whatnot, like, it's really important, because they're actually people that matter.
Right.
I've been out for almost 3 years now, and I'm still really good friends with people that I worked with.
There's people there that are willing to support you, and people there that have your best interests in mind if you're willing to listen. That's what it took for me to kind of get out of those critical moments. I do think that if you isolate yourself, you're not going to find a healthy means to solving your situation. I do feel like you need to be actively trying to pursue a solution to your mental health crisis or a tough circumstance or situation you're going through. And part of that, negative and positive experiences and emotions are just a part of being a human being, And so the negative, you dwell too much on it, you're not gonna enjoy life. And in the positive, if you dwell too much on that, it's like you need to, just having a balanced mind state. You got to be content in all things, just because that's what's going to help you trek through life in a productive sense.
Hang in there. You're not alone. Everybody's going through something or have gone through something that's stressful or impacts their mental health on a day-to-day basis. So hang in there. You're not alone. Get the help. And if you're a supervisor or anybody, it doesn't matter if you're a supervisor, a friend, an airman, a wingman, just quickly act. Communicate. If you see that something's wrong or somebody's dealing with something, communicate up the chain of command or whoever you feel comfortable with to help out. That would be my biggest advice, is to quickly act.
I would just tell them to seek help in any way they can and try to express how they feel in a healthy manner, whatever that means to them. Like, for me, like, before I got out, I went to mental health and expressed to them how much I wanted to see someone that was not a military professional. Mm-hmm. It really helped to see someone that was a civilian mental health professional.
I would say keep on fighting, that you are a fighter, and that these giants you're facing, they're probably going to be your biggest giants in life, but that once you conquer them, once you slay your giants, nothing's gonna be able to stop you in regards to your mental attitude, your mental effort. So like the negative feelings such as like guilt, depression, anxiety, it's like you can counteract them with things such as gratitude, appreciation, and compassion, just things like that.
Don't be afraid to seek help, because a lot of people get turned off by going to mental health and seeking help, but I think it's beneficial. Like, you gotta fight for it, but it is beneficial in the long run.
Mental health is it's a tough thing to go through, and depending on life, things are going to happen throughout your life with yourself or your family members, and it's going to be stressful and it's going to be hard for you to be able to overcome. But I just want to say, just like I said, hang in there. If you notice somebody struggling, just quickly act, care, and get them the services that they need.
Black, white, gay, straight, tall, short, regardless of who you are and what you look like, a mental crisis is very real. As a man, it may be too hard to speak up because we may look too soft or too emotional, or maybe we're fearful of the journey to getting help. But it's important to speak up. It's important to listen.